Hello, guys. I'm so excited about this guest today. I have Lindsey Simcik here, and she is someone that I always tune into. She is the co-host of Almost 30 with Krista Williams. I love them both so much. Their podcast is so incredible. As I said in the episode, it is this balance between depth and lightness. They go so freaking deep. And they're also so comical and funny and silly at times. And it's just such a beautiful balance. Lindsey is so rooted and grounded in who she is. We met up for a matcha a few months ago and just like had instant connection. She's so awesome, so real, so chill. And what I'm noticing, like I just met Organic Olivia Armachano in person, and I just met Lindsey in person. And what I'm noticing of these women in business who really do the work, they are so rooted, they are so grounded, and they are so authentic in who they are. And like, those are the people who I want to be around. Though that's how I feel about myself. Like, if it's not in 100% alignment, I'm not doing anything for any other reason other than alignment and authenticity. That's just how I move through this life. And I found that in the two of them. And when we were talking to Lindsey, like that is just the energy that she gives off and shares. And I think part of the old paradigm is like when you're in business, you have to be so strategic, and sometimes it's cutthroat and all these old ways of doing things. And when I meet people like this, I'm like, yes, you are evidence of what we're creating now. You are evidence of success in the space of alignment. You are evidence of this like high energetic success. And it's just so refreshing and so reaffirming to be around. And it felt so good. Oh, I'm like beaming just talking about it. So in this conversation, we go there. We talk about her journey to Almost 30, being one of the first podcasters, and how that was starting off, how she even launched it when Instagram and social media wasn't what it was today, where this took her. We talked a lot about our Saturn Returns. They just wrote an incredible book all about this time period in your life. So if you are 20 something, you need their book because this is such a powerful time. If you don't know yet about a Saturn Return, please just go to them as a resource and learn all about it. And yeah, so we talked about that. We talked about her journey to motherhood. We talked about her really stepping into the role of a mother, how things have changed, where she is now, where she's planning to go, and the pivots in between every journey along the way. Because when we share things so publicly and we have like this quote unquote brand or building, things change. And she has been someone that's just so comfortable with changing and sharing in the different season that she's in with her community. And I think that's so important. And it's something I really appreciated talking about as well. So this conversation's so yummy, so juicy. If you don't listen to their podcast already, definitely check it out. One of the favorite episodes of mine is with, Zach Bush, and it's from 2021. That was one of my favorite episodes. I think that was the first ever episode I listened to of them, and then just like fell in love with them and their energy. And yeah, it's so good. And of course, definitely check out their book and listen to the episode. Let me know what you think of it. If you feel guided to share it, please do. But as always, I thank you so much for being here, and I cannot wait to see you next time. Sat Nam. Yay! Okay, I'm so excited that you're here. Like beyond, I'm beaming. So thrilled. Thank you so much. I know how busy you are and how much you do in your life. And I'm just honored to sit down and chat with you and hear all about your journey, your life, your book, all the things.
Thank you. No, I'm so excited to be here. When we initially met, I was like, I don't know if you've had this with people, but you're like, I could be real, true friends with this girl.
Aww.
Do you know what I mean? And I know life has been lifing, and so we haven't seen each other too much. But it's that feeling of just like almost immediate like trust and seeing each other, which, I don't get like often, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I completely feel that too. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's so nice of you to say that. And I felt the same way. I like went right deep with you immediately, shared so much. So I felt the same way. And I also feel like I know you from your podcast.
True.
Just listening.
Over
you were the first
episodes of, dude, we think about that a lot. Just 10 years of like talking on a pod. There's just an archive of so many parts of my life that I'm proud of, but also I'm sure there's moments that I'm like, probably wouldn't have said that or would have said that differently.
And that's life.
It is
and that's growing,
is,
right? Just being in different phases and different stages. Totally. When you first started, you were around that age of Saturn Return, right?
Yes.
Like, I mean, almost 30, literally.
Yes.
Can you tell me about that time?
Krista and I were about 27 when we met. I had recently in that last year moved out to LA. Kind of suddenly. I'd always wanted to be out there for my acting career, but didn't know how I was going to get there. But at the time, I was freshly working for SoulCycle as an instructor. And they called me one night and asked if I would go out to California and open the Newport studio just south of LA. And I did not hesitate for a moment and just said, yes, I will go. I didn't know how I was going to get there. I didn't know anyone out there. I didn't know what it would be like to leave my friends and family, all of the things. But I just knew. And that was one of the first like true conscious pings from my soul that I recognized. I was like, whoa, that is so weird. Like, this is just a knowing and I must go. And from there, it wasn't the easiest thing. I was, in debt. I was like dating all the wrong people. I was just bopping around LA, not really feeling like I had found my people yet. But when I met Krista about a year in,
you met her out there.
I met her out there. So we were connected by a mutual friend because she also wanted to teach at SoulCycle. She asked me.
It was the SoulCycle era.
It was an era. It was like the peak of that whole time. It was the best, honestly.
Yeah,
I loved
it. Really
I loved working for Soul at that time. And so she wanted to get all the tips and tricks. So we met over FaceTime and she didn't end up getting the job. But eventually when she moved out to LA from New York with her then boyfriend, we became fast friends. We just, like we were talking about with us, like we just went deep right away. And so it was just really refreshing. And we were both going through it in different ways. Like she was having like a health crisis and, had been in the corporate world and had just quit to become a full-time blogger. That wasn't really working out. I was in the wake of a big breakup with the person that I thought was going to be my person forever. I was also in debt. Like it was just messy, but our relationship really brought me peace and comfort. And so from there, very quickly, actually, after our friendship began, she came to me. She's like, do you think we could start a podcast talking about like what we talk about as friends? And I didn't really know what a podcast was, but I'm someone who is just always down to create. I have been an actress, performer for a good part of my life. And, tell me you want to create something. And I'm like, yeah, great, let's do it. Not really concerned with the outcome necessarily, but I'm in love with like the process of creating. So we started with a $15 recorder I had in my kitchen drawer. And we just went to either of our closets on a consistent basis and would just like record and practice. And yeah, it was just such a beautiful time of like showing up consistently, of having a blast, just like doing something new, talking to each other about just like, the musings of our life that we look back now and we're like, oh, that was so cringe, but it was real. And soon enough, this chaotic period of our late 20s became something that we realized was really purposeful. Eventually, we realized it was our Saturn Return through a conversation on the podcast. But it wasn't meant to be something that like destroyed us or just dissolved like the life we thought we should have. It was really actually meant for it to come together.
So cool. I have chills because in those moments you don't really realize what you're creating and then look at all you've created from those times.
Yes.
And talking about like the hardships you're going through or the unknown, the uncertainty, all to realize it was all part of the plan. And even I'm thinking about the person who set you guys up, like how destined this all was. So how long, when you first launched this podcast, how did you even launch it? Because I'm sure it was so different than like a launch today. Like everything you're going through with your book now versus the launch of a podcast then.
It's so true. Yeah. The art of the launch was not something we knew about, but I think what we felt was that we had been practicing for about 6 months.
What do you mean practicing?
We were in our closets with the $15 recorder, just talking.
Okay.
We had not put anything out for 6 months. We were really just trying to see like, okay, what's our chemistry? What's our flow? What do we want to talk about? Like, what's the structure of the show? What about our voices? Do they sound good? Can we work on that? And after 6 months, we knew it wasn't perfect. We were like, oh, there are things to work on and I'm sure it will evolve, which it has so many times. And we just had to put it out. It's like you can't wait for the thing to be perfect or exactly how you envision, because part of the refinement of something, I think, especially a podcast, is being able to put it out into the world and see how it feels, see what the feedback is, and just do the hard thing of like putting something out that's very vulnerable,
So when you put it out, did you do it on Apple, Spotify? I want like all the details.
Yeah, we did it. Yeah, technically speaking, we put it out everywhere you listen to podcasts at the time. Apple.
So that was
I think Spotify was. And like SoundCloud, way back when. And I think we were using Libsyn at the time, maybe. We weren't on a network, obviously. And we've put out an episode every week, at least one episode every week since, which is crazy. But yeah, like we really learned a lot along the way. I was editing the episodes out the gate, and then that became way too much. I wasn't an expert in that sense. I could learn, but it wasn't my genius and it wasn't really what I wanted to do. So we outsourced that to one of my friends. And then we asked one of our other friends to create the podcast art. And, eventually we hired, quote, an intern, that was legit, but like also we were just like starting out our business. Yeah. She eventually became a full-time employee. She eventually left and started her own business based on what she learned with us. Like it was just this time of almost becoming a business before we were a business, being confident about this before we were truly confident about this. And I think what happened was that Almost 30 really took shape in a way that I think surprised us and also like inspired us every step of the way. We were seeing how she was being received and like how it was growing organically. And so that would inspire us to, meet people in person and do an event with people that would listen to the show. And none of that would have happened if we didn't just put it out there and just start.
Yeah. So were you sharing this with both your audiences at the time?
So at the time, I'm trying to think like what our audiences even looked like. Mine was small.
Like on social, but you were sharing it there?
Yeah, we were definitely sharing it on Instagram. You can go back in the archives and see that.
I'm just thinking like how people found out about it then.
Sure. I think, what's unique about Almost 30 is that we were meeting people in person.
You were.
Like we would do events at SoulCycle. We would do events in people's backyards. We would do an event at like a local crystal shop. We would, no one was asking for that, technically speaking. But when we would host it, a lot of people would show up.
So you would say we're throwing an event. We're the hosts of this podcast. We're going to throw an event, bring community together. Yes. Would you invite people? Or
we would talk about it on the podcast. We would talk about it on social. We had started like a newsletter, like all of the like usual marketing things we had started. They weren't like what they are today, but we had kind of those channels to be able to leverage. And we would ask our friends to come and we would ask our friends to bring friends.
Yeah.
Like it was just kind of like that.
So cool.
For the most part, it was so much of the word of mouth effect that I think that's how we grew, which is like, to us sometimes annoying because we're like, we want that viral moment.
Yeah.
We want to pop overnight.
Yeah.
And it's like, sure. But I think it's really cool and also a more sustainable way of getting big is like growing organically and with like real people who like believe in your brand and understand and feel the impact of what you're doing rather than like a flash in the pan,
Totally. And I love that it was so community-based from the beginning.
Yeah.
And I feel like you just see that thread through and through now.
Yeah.
So cool. Was there a moment you guys had where you were like, oh, this is real and here we go. Like we're on a rocket ship.
Yeah, I think it was a few moments. The fact that we got to quit our full-time jobs about 2.5 years in for me.
Nice.
I think 2 years in for Krista was a moment.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, this is real.
Yeah.
This
So
is a full-fledged business.
Yeah.
This is, we pay people to work on our team. And like, it was such it was a cool time in podcasting, like not everyone had a podcast like they do today. And I think, the people were kind of less trusting or less wanting to go to the mainstream media. And they were really interested in like, what is this audio form that like, people can just start and have conversations and it's long form and it's very like uncensored in a cool way. So I think we hit it at a time that was like very exciting. So that when we were able to quit our full-time jobs and then we decided to go on tour. No one was truly asking for it, but we were looking at our back end of, our listeners and where they lived across the world. And we just decided, let's go visit them. Let's go to these cities. And we partnered with WeWork in a lot of these cities and some more independent spaces. And we would host events. And
so cool.
It was incredibly successful. We would have 100, 200 people at each stop, whether it was Austin, San Francisco, Miami, London, Sydney, Melbourne, like across the world. It was crazy.
It's amazing.
And just to know that like we had listeners in these various places and that, the resonance of like what they were moving through and how they were impacted by the podcast was it was unique but similar. It just had that like, I'm so glad I found you guys at the time that I did. And I'm understanding myself more deeply. And like, this is what's changed because of that. And just to experience that in person and like hug people and hear their stories. And then for them to experience, whether it's us or the conversation we had live in person, we would usually bring on guests. They would then go tell 10 other people, oh my God, I saw almost 30 this week and they're amazing. Do you listen to their podcast? So that tour, I think not only was just something we really wanted to do and was just such a heart-centered decision, it was also a beautiful marketing strategy.
Yeah.
Like we didn't make anything from tour. It wasn't a moneymaker.
Yeah.
But I think it put us on the map in a lot of ways.
Wow. Did you do it all yourself?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah. We would set up chairs. We would fill goodie bags. We would...
Even like the promotion, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's amazing.
Did not hire PR. No,
That's
nothing.
incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It was a lot of work. We were burnt out.
And how beautiful that you guys have each other. I feel like so much can come when there is that partnership.
It's true.
And even like putting yourselves out there, even I was thinking back to like the perfection versus like, okay, this has to get out there. And I think with a partnership, sometimes that comes of like the push and the pull and like the refining from someone and then the like, okay, it's got to get out from someone. It's like so beautiful to have that balance.
Yes, I completely agree. I mean, my friendship with Krista is like one of the most profound relationships I've had in my life thus far. Like she and I bring up a lot in one another in ways that aren't always comfortable.
Yeah.
But we're fully committed to our relationship and being friends, but then within the container of being business partners it's complex, and so we really had to take our relationship seriously early on because we found ourselves we found that our issues were affecting the business.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had to put our relationship first. We had individual therapists together. We had coaches. We went on retreats. We really had so much support and so many experiences to really deepen our understanding of each other and really fortify our bond and our foundation. And now, we can move through anything. A lot of people ask well, what's it like that Lindsey's in New York, she's married, has a baby now. Are you guys going to split up and Krista's single and living her life and traveling the world? And it's I guess a legitimate question, but we just have such a strong foundation now that we know how to have conversations, how to communicate. We know how to support one another, to let each other grow and evolve. I'm so thankful we went through all of that to be able to be here now and just have such a solid friendship.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. Mm-hmm. And it makes so much sense because I feel like when you're in business with yourself, you're confronted with all of your subconscious patterns and everything that you need to do to heal to really go to the next level. And when you have a partner in life, a romantic partner or a business partner, it's the greatest mirror you can have. And I'm thinking how deep you both go in personal evolution and personal healing, that it probably has been the most, probably very hard, but also the most beautiful experience of demanding the highest level of one another in the partnership. And that's amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's wild. It's taken us on a ride, but I'm so thankful because I think a lot of people, when they think about their friendships, when a friendship gets hard, they're not sure if it's a good hard where there's opportunity for growth and deepening, or I should end this friendship hard, and I've always known with Krista, as many times as I've just felt ooh, this is really tough, I've never wanted to walk away, and I've had other friendships where I've wanted to walk away and I did, so there's just this soul knowing that this is a part of our contract.
Yeah. And I think when two people are doing work, I think about it in my marriage all the time. When two people are willing to do the work, to meet the other person, it just makes it so much better and worth it.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Right. So much good out of it. Oh my goodness. So I feel like there's so much I want to ask you, but I was thinking about how sometimes we want to focus our work around the time period that we're in right now because it's the most current.
Yeah.
And I love that you guys chose to write the book about Saturn Return and that time period being almost 30. I actually wrote in when you guys asked for stories.
Oh my God,
I was I have to write in because during that time I knew I was an elementary school teacher. I knew there was something more that I needed to do in this life. And I was experiencing really bad panic attacks and anxiety, which led me to Kundalini, which led me to find the power within myself.
Yes.
And has led me to be able to teach so many other people that we have that power within. Yep. And it was all during that time, just so obvious. And when I meet people who are in their 20s before their Saturn return, I'm the best days are ahead of you. And your challenges right now, they're actually going to help you figure out where you're going.
Yes.
And I love that you guys chose to write about that time because I feel like so many people really need to understand. I think I actually sent you an influencer who's talking about this time period. She's in it and she's what's going on?
I sent it to our PR team. I said, yo, get on this.
She needs the book. She needs the book.
But I'm going to reach out.
Shut. So tell us a little bit about choosing that as the topic of the book and just what we can experience as readers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is the book that Krista and I wish we had when we were going through this late 20s into our 30s transition, a time that just felt like our life was falling apart. And if we would have had this, I think we would have really leaned into this time with a lot more trust and confidence. Doesn't mean it was going to be easier, but when you know what you're moving through, or at least understand the purpose of it, I believe you're really able to kind of click into a powerful gear of, okay, I'm going to stay here with this moment and what I'm moving through. And if I know that if I do that, on the other side is, deeper understanding of myself, more clarity, whatever it is, then I'll be here for it. Because a lot of people will numb out, run away, just feel like life isn't working out for them and really not trust in their life and trust in the timing of their life. So I just believe so deeply in the power of this book. And we really wanted this book to encompass all of our experiences that we move through in our Saturn return and the experiences that we have observed and talked to women about that they're experiencing in their Saturn return. So in the realms of, you know, their relationship with their soul, what that looks like or what that feels like, or that curiosity feels like, their soul and their spirituality, their relationship with their body, I think is a big one. So we have a chapter that Krista wrote on the body that is deeply profound and reflects her experience, but also her research and the wisdom we've gleaned from guests over the years about the relationship with the body. I also wrote a chapter in that section on the power of nourishment. You know, what are we putting in, on, and around our bodies during this time? I don't know about you, but I was like double fisting Celsius energy drinks. I was drinking fully caffeinated iced coffees in the afternoon. I'm wondering why I'm anxious. I'm wondering why, you know, I don't feel like I'm in my body.
Totally.
I just felt like just crazy. And so paying attention to that as well. We also talk about the relationship with our friends, how that changes, our family, how that changes, romantic relationships, what can come up during that season, like, where's my person? Yeah. Or maybe you go through a divorce, or maybe you meet your person, or maybe you go through a huge breakup. That can be very profound. And then we also talk about purpose, because people feel like, okay, what's my purpose?
Yeah.
Well, it's the big P word. Like, I got to define it. I got to know it. It's a fixed thing. I got to figure it out. And it's really not that, you know, so we talk about that. And we talk about money, you know, a very 3D thing that I feel like was one of my greatest lessons in my Saturn return. We talk about career reckonings and just like you might want to leave your job. You might want to reinvent yourself at your job. You might want to start your own business. There's a lot of things that can come up during this time. So we really cover, I think, almost everything.
I love that.
It's a thick book. It is a full meal. But we really want this to be a book that people can dig into at any moment of change, you know, because this Saturn return period, I think, is one of the biggies. But it can also really reset your relationship with change so that you can approach it with more confidence, more excitement, and be able to use it as the portal that it is for transformation.
I feel like what I've gained post Saturn return is awareness, especially from having a spiritual practice.
Yes.
And I feel like the book is something that's going to help people have the awareness before they may actually have it.
Yes.
And it's like this big sister energy, which I love. Like, soon as you said that, everything you wish you had, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm thinking about all these 20 somethings that are going to be able to like learn from you and through your journey. But also it's the awareness, because when we have awareness, we could feel safe to surrender, and we could be more objective in our own life of like, okay, this is meant to happen. Though what might feel like destruction right now, what might feel like such uncertainty, is actually all part of the plan of this time period. And I'm able to surrender in and just let it flow, because so much happens on the other side of that.
It's so true. It is so true. I wish there was like a Saturn return mentoring program.
Maybe you're going to create
Maybe we should start it. Because it's true.
Yeah.
It's just, oh man, it's like, it is supposed to bring you to your knees, you know, like, and I remember those moments of just like, what the hell? I should have this more figured out. I should be in a different place. But I think, you know, God's plan or whatever you believe in is so much more expansive and cooler than you could ever imagine. So if it feels like it's not working out according to your plan, it's probably wanting to come together in a different, more aligned way.
Yeah. And I feel like society has puts a pressure on us just a few years before that almost by divine design,
Yeah.
where it's like you're out of college and you should have your career. And after studying for however many years you chose to, are you happy? You should be happy. You should be doing this. And it's actually like, no, I have more time to really settle in and figure out exactly what I'm meant to do.
Just on that, I believe your 20s is a time of experimentation and really following your curiosities and not needing to establish who you're going to be, who you're going to be with, where you're going to be, what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I think it is a time when your brain is still developing. So we write about in the book, but your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that is responsible for decision making and long-term planning and emotional regulation, doesn't come online until you're 26.
Yeah.
So we're making all of these decisions prior to that time based on our emotions, like emotional reactivity. So it's a very reactive and totally normal, but we can't, I don't think, expect ourselves to choose our person. Some people do. And if it works out, that's amazing. But I don't think it's like, I would say the percentage is probably pretty low. You're a different person. Literally neurologically, you're a different person. Yeah. You haven't quite come all the way online.
Yeah.
And so who you're going to pick when you're 24 is different than who you're going to pick when you're in your 30s. And I'm a prime example. I met my now husband when I was 24, 25. And I remember saying, using these words, I could never marry Sean. Wow. To my best friend. Even though there was a part of me that knew that he's different. I kind of like it, but it scares me.
Yeah.
And I was too scared. So my mind was like, no, we cannot.
Yeah.
And all the things that I was like picking apart about him are some of the things I love the most now. And so when I say to people, like, I'm a different person now than when I first met him, it's true for me. Like, I just feel so different. Part neurological, the science of it, but then also I've done so much work in that period of time. I've really come online understanding what I'm bringing to every moment, why I am the way I am, how I can be empowered to change aspects of me that I want to change. Yeah. So if you don't have it figured out before you're 30, perfect.
Literally. Yeah. I feel the same way. I remember after having my Saturn return and what I refer to as my spiritual awakening, I was like, oh my gosh, my husband is literally married to a whole different, we got married at like 29, I think.
Yep.
I'm like, and I'm a completely different person.
Yeah.
And around the same time, he went to rehab. He was a drug addict. And he went to rehab. He's 10 years sober now, which is amazing. But it was so interesting that I was having this period of transformation in my own way, being able to rise up from anxiety and having the tools I need to do that. And he was rising up from his addiction and being able to live a sober life. And he was like, oh, you stopped drinking. I'm not sober, but I used to drink a ton to self-medicate. And now I'm like, oh, I actually don't need that to function in my life. And he would say, like, you stopped drinking because of me, because I became sober. I'm like, no, I stopped drinking because I now have tools that I need. And I realize that's not something I need in my life.
Yes.
And it's just wild because to see his Saturn return and feel like, actually, you went through your own transformation. I went through mine. And together we also had that transformation. But it's true. I would think like he's marrying a completely different person after I experienced the shift. But I was too at the same exact time.
Totally.
Which is wild.
That's wild. Yeah.
I would love to know, I mean, you entered this phase of motherhood. How old is Mav now?
He's 22 months, so almost 2.
Wow.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
It's crazy.
I feel like silly even asking this question because it changes everything when you become a mother and when you have a child. I can't even imagine the extent of the shift. But how has it changed your work and how you approach work and life?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it changes everything. I'm always so curious about people who say like, my kid just fits into my life, and hasn't really changed much. So I'm like, whoa, I would love to be on a fly on the wall in your day, because it's just changed everything about my life, my husband's life, just our day to day. And honestly, I needed it, and need sounds like a weird word, but I think for so long I was like and I think a lot of us are like this in a very good, healthy way, kind of self-obsessed. We're working on ourselves. We're doing all the work. We're taking care of ourselves. We are, doing a lot of amazing things for ourselves to be better people, to be more confident, fill in whatever you want to fill in the blank with. And then you give birth to another human being that is fully reliant on you to live. And that, for me, disappeared overnight. Just this, it was no longer just about me.
No.
And I was kind of relieved, because I think there's a point at which we can kind of get obsessed with just working on ourselves and thinking about ourselves and whatever. And to be able to take care of another human being, I was like, oh, wow, now I get to practice the work. It was a welcomed experience in that way.
Yeah.
But when it comes to work, it's I don't want to say it's hard. It's evolving.
Yeah.
I think you said at one point, this is my experience now. So that's really all I care to talk about. It's really all that's really natural in moments to talk about publicly. So online, I don't relate to what I used to share about, because I'm not in that season of my life. So it's interesting. I've definitely leaned into the motherhood space, and I started a brand new mom on the block, and I'm just kind of really seeing what she wants to be. I'm letting her be out in the world, and also I'm communicating with her okay, are you a community? Are you, a YouTube and a Substack? Or, it's in that phase of question mark. I don't exactly know what she is. I'm really experimenting. And at the same time, there's a part of me that really just wants to be in my life, and not have to share everything about it or think about how I'm going to make this into a business and make money. And I know that's a privileged place to be, but it's an option for me right now, where I don't have to work. But what I'm kind of grappling with is there is a part of me that loves to be creative.
Yeah.
And I do feel fulfilled in certain aspects of, quote, working or creating. And my child and future children will not be little for a very long time.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? So I think my commitment right now is that whatever I am, quote, working on or creating must give me life, must inspire me, must make me happy and just engaged with my creativity, because that makes me a better mom. If it feels like work and I have to push myself to do it, and it just feels like it's draining my energy, it's a no. Yeah. And so I've had to really practice very good boundaries, very good yeses and nos, very clear yeses and nos. And I think it's helping whatever wants to come next take shape, but it's taking time, Yeah. I'm in a very question mark season of my life right now. It's kind of fun because I've been there before, so I know it's going to be totally fine.
Yeah, totally. What are the creative aspects of what you do that really just light you up?
I love the New Mom on the Block YouTube. It comes so naturally to me.
I love
and it's
it too.
So fun.
Yeah, I love
I've
it.
taken a hiatus during the book launch process because I needed to pour everything into the book, but I'm going to relaunch later this summer. It's a blast. And it's something that I know that I would need to, I'm not coming on there as an expert. I'm coming on there just sharing my experience and highs and lows and just realness, and also giving like I hope, a positive spin to motherhood and parenthood. I think there's enough content out there that's like, this is hard. It's like, I get it. It is the hardest thing. And I do think that we can kind of awaken the mother within us that really is all-knowing, confident, just innately wise in this role. So I'm interested in that. My music, like, I just love singing, so that'll come back at some point.
I learned that after your wedding. When we posted that, I was like obsessed with that video.
It was
that
so
was
fun.
Unbelievable.
It's one of my favorite moments of my life.
I didn't know
just
that about
because
you.
I got to. It wasn't because I was singing. It was because, so I created this moment at our wedding where I put together a group to sing and perform for our guests, and for my husband, it was a surprise for him. It was a very like gospel vibe. It was beautiful. And, I think people joke about like being a diva at your wedding and whatever. And I was like, no, I actually want to have like a diva moment, like a real full-blown diva moment. So I sang one song with the group, and it was a testament for me to having a vision and then making it happen, and then stepping into the vision and being like, I'm here. This is crazy.
You have Leo in your chart, right?
No.
You don't?
Hold on. Let me grab water.
Because I feel like it's a Leo's dream.
It's funny. I gotta like double check my more detailed chart. I'm a Virgo sun, Gemini moon, Libra rising, but there might be some Leo in there. I have to check. It's
just a moment. So beautiful. So that's amazing. So you might do more with that.
Yeah, I definitely want to create music in my life. It's just more of like, I think it'll be in my 40s, which sounds weird to be like, what? Like, how do you know that? I just feel it very deeply. I think I'll have more space. I think I'll be inspired in a very specific way. I want to make music for children too. Beautiful. That like the whole family can listen to, and it's not like an annoying kid song that you get sick of. It's like, I don't know.
Everyone can enjoy it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So nice. Yeah. So you kind of touched on this, but I wanted to ask you like that moment when you realize what you used to share no longer resonates, and you knew you had to like pivot in a way. So that is something you experience, and like what came up for you during that time, and how did you navigate it?
Yeah, I feel like it's happened a few times. I think the first time that stands out to me is when I went from being single for 7 years to being in a relationship and then eventually engaged and married, where for so long I was talking about the sacredness of being single. Yeah. And it was so real and so resonant in my experience, and it really resonated with so many women. I created a program, from that experience and idea. It was beautiful. And then I'm in a relationship, and not that I can't talk about that, because I think there is actually a beautiful opportunity to talk about it from the experience of finding the person that I'm meant to be with. But then, you kind of hit a point where it's not that I got sick of talking about it. It's almost like I felt that the audience was ready to move on too, if that makes sense. Yeah. And maybe it was energetically a way to pass this on to whoever else is meant to speak about this as well. And it's not that I started this conversation. Like, I was probably given this. I know I was given this, by God, but like also, I just feel like conversations come in waves throughout like the collective. And so this was meant for me to pick up for a period of time, and then I let it go. And there are other people talking about it in different ways and like different flavors. And so that's really cool. So I just always trust that when I'm no longer really inspired or lit up to talk about it, it's time to just let it go.
And you've always been like that? Like you've always known that? For the most part, that's amazing.
Yeah. But it's also, I'm not so concerned, which is weird. I don't know why. I have to probably explore this, but I'm not as concerned with how the public views me in that way. Like, how could you not talk about this anymore? Or why are you talking about this new thing? Like, I don't really think about that. Yeah. And it's not that I don't care. It it's not something that I'm allowing into my field. I think I'm more affected by, and Krista called this out the other day, I'm more affected by like, you know, if there have been moments where my family had something to say about something I shared. And I'm like, oh God, I don't want to disappoint them, or I don't want them to feel a type of way. So it's more like personal, or maybe people in authority that I wouldn't want to disappoint. That's the people pleaser in me. But when it comes to like my audience or just the public in general, I love them, but I'm also like, I'm going to talk about what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
You know?
I like that a lot. I think some things that could keep us back sometimes is like, oh, this always worked.
Yeah.
So why would I change it? What if I change it? Like fear could creep in there. But the feeling of inspiration, especially being a creative, that's what we live for. And like to follow that is everything. And I feel like so much is on the other side when we lean into it.
And I just, for me, I would be losing a lot more if I just kept talking about something that I wasn't lit up by.
Of course. Yeah.
Than I would be gaining financially or, you know, likes or anything like that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I have to say, I was obsessed with your episode with Zach Bush. I know you've had many at this point.
Yeah.
I think it was the one from 2021.
Oh boy, yeah.
And it was just so good. And you guys actually helped me to fall in love with this man because I never heard of him before. Someone sent me this and was like, you need to listen. And I was like, oh my God, who is he? And recently my husband and I last September were in Nantucket and we pulled up to a restaurant and I look out the window and it's Zach Bush.
Stop.
And I rolled down the window and I was like, Zach? He's like, yes. I'm like, oh my. I freaked out. Like I literally
what a
had a
wild
moment.
sighting in Nantucket.
He was there for a conference. He was teaching all weekend. And I like pulled him in the window of our car and was like, I love you. And Vinny's like, is this like a Kundalini thing? And Zach was laughing. He's like, oh my God. But the conversations you have on the podcast, I just love how light and fun, like your intros, I'm literally like going for my hot girl walk laughing hysterically at you guys because there's this levity, this comical aspect, this lightness, and then the deepest conversations. And it brings such balance. Like in my life, I need the funny people around me. I don't know if I'm like a funny person, but I do enjoy laughing and like bringing, I'm always like deep. Like I'm always going straight to the depth. And there's such medicine in having the balance of that. And you guys really bring it. You really do.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been important for us to have that balance, you know, as best we can because life can get very serious very quickly. And like, we're down to be serious. We're down to just be in that depth with everyone. And, you know, we're all so dimensional. So, like, why not show as many aspects of ourselves as possible just to, like, speak to those different aspects of people that are listening. So, yeah, I love our intros that are just Krista and myself talking where we catch up and, you know, we talk about whatever. And we also do solo episodes, just anything that's, like, on our hearts, whether it's together or separately. But, yeah, Zach Bush, he's just one of those people, one of the few people that we've had on the podcast that I really felt like I was in the presence of someone. First of all, I don't think he's fully human. Like I definitely think he is like, I don't know if he's galactic or like, sounds weird. No one get offended, but like he does feel like a Jesus energy.
I couldn't agree more.
You know, like there's just like a, there's just like a love for humanity and a insight and foresight and just heart-centeredness that like I've never experienced. So I think he's doing profound work on earth. And I'm thankful he's here at this time. I do think his work is making genuine waves and not just flying under the radar. Like I do think with where we are right now, like these conversations are kind of being like elevated to be seen and heard. But yeah, I adore him. That's so fun that you got to meet him.
Yeah, I think that's how I first came around to your podcast. From that episode in 2021, that's when I really became a listener. This is so random. I definitely told you this before privately, but your ads are amazing.
Thank you so much.
And you're the only ads I don't skip over. So your sponsor should hear that.
Thank
your
you.
voice is it's just like, it keeps me there. I
Oh, I
remember being on
appreciate
walks
that.
being like, wait, why am I sitting here listening to an ad?
Literally.
Usually I'm like fast forwarding.
Yeah, same.
Every time on your podcast, I'm in it.
Thank you.
It's
I
really
take pride. I take pride in
it's
the
important.
ads. And we only work with brands that we actually
That's the
use
other
and
thing,
love, which is nice.
because you feel that too.
Because then,
yes,
just, going with the theme of like doing things and saying things and engaging with things that light you up, like, then I'm not lying.
yeah, literally.
I'm just
Period,
like telling the truth.
Yes.
I'm like, this is what I use. This is why it works. This is what the effects I've seen. Yeah. And so I think that's also why people like our ads.
Absolutely.
As opposed to other shows. Cause I'm not just like reading from a teleprompter, like I have talking points, but it's all me just like talking about my experience. So thank you. I appreciate that.
No, I love. So last question, and then we'll wrap, but like, how do you prepare for a podcast episode? Is it more intuitive? Are you kind of channeling? Do you have an outline? How do you host? Just curious.
It depends.
Okay.
It depends on the guest.
Yeah.
If I have a pretty deep understanding of their work and their energy and, I've seen them on other podcasts or I have a relationship with them, I probably won't prepare as much as if I was going into an interview with someone who I didn't know their subject matter as well, or I didn't know them as well. But I think high level, if anyone has a podcast or is conducting interviews in any way, I think for me, number one is listening to them on other podcasts just to pick up on their energy when they are on podcasts. I think it's important to hear their cadence. Are they someone who talks really fast? Are they someone who gives long answers or short answers? Are they someone who likes to engage in conversation? Do you observe them like just being in the conversation rather than question, answer? None of these are bad or good. It's just understanding like what flavor you will probably get. Because sometimes if you're surprised by it in the seat, then that can throw you off your game. So I like to understand what I'm going to be walking into as far as that goes. And then I do like to prepare, so it's reading the book that they wrote or listening to other podcasts that they've been on for that reason, just kind of digging into the different content that seems to be very relevant right now, looking at their Instagram. What have they posted about recently? Maybe there's something personal that they're going through they posted about that we could, just kind of dig into. I love referencing specific quotes, moments that they've had, anything that could really start a conversation. And also, I think it shows the guests that you care about this conversation. Like when we were doing interviews for the book, we had someone who like pulled a few quotes from the book, like ones that we wouldn't think are like impactful, but like when she read them, it was like, oh yeah, wow. Okay, let's talk about that. So I just think those little things can bring in the other person and really engage them in a very unique and interesting way. So that type of research I think is important. But then you have to leave room for a conversation to be had and also leave room to pick up on the energy of what's happening and the nuance of the conversation. I might pick up on like a piece of body language, like that I want to double click on. And it's not like interrogation. It's more like, if you get emotional about something, I don't want to just keep plowing through my questions. I want to like go a little bit deeper if you're willing, So I think leaving room for that. So I like to have just a map of where I would like to go and leaving room for maybe some offshoots that make sense in the conversation.
Yeah. So nice. Great tips. I love them. For the book, it's launched, which is so exciting. You're in Barnes & Nobles, right?
Barnes & Noble,
Target too,
Target,
right?
Amazon.
So exciting.
All places,
Do you feel like people outside of their Saturn Return can benefit from reading it? And like what ways do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, we're all going to go through seasons of change, like it's just the reality of being a human. And so how do we meet change? And this book is going to just really walk you back to who you really are, and I think that's who we need in times of change. Who am I really? Like, what are my values? What's important to me? What's a non-negotiable? What am I not available for? And I just really believe that, like, you know, the practices and tools in the book, our experience, our honesty, you know, wisdom from guests really will give you a very substantial understanding of who you really are, or at least like start you on the path. And so, yeah, it's really for anyone, any age. I was talking to someone the other day and she's 50 and a mom of 2. And she was saying, oh my God, I have to admit, like, I'm getting so much from this book. Because if you think about it, you know, people say at 50 didn't really have, I guess they could have had the tools that we have today, but it just wasn't in the zeitgeist.
Yep.
So like for her to say like, oh wow, like, you know, I realized this about myself and I, you know, I went through the early parts of my marriage not understanding this and now I do, like, is totally normal based on like what you probably had as resources and inspiration and all of that. So I just pray that this book finds anyone and everyone who is moving through a season of change that needs support, that needs the reminding of just how powerful they are and how unique their soul's path is and how they can truly trust the timing of their life.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing.
Thank you.
I feel that too. I feel that so much from everything you guys shared and just by, you know, having an idea of what you've shared so far. But I feel that it's so true. Like right now we have access to so much wisdom, so many tools, and to have a book from your experience based off of everything you've built. And I know there's financial aspects, like you talked about money and healing that relationship and having even a chapter on that or a section on that. It's so beneficial.
Yes.
And to someone who really looks up to you as an expander, I'm really excited to dive deep into it.
Thank you.
And take in the learnings that you guys already have had.
Thank you. You're the best.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you so much. What are you most excited for?
I'm kind of excited about this question mark season of just like, you know, almost 30 will keep, you know, it's alive and well and the book's going to be out in the world and just doing her thing. But I think when it comes to like what I'm individually creating next and what my focus will be, and I'm just curious. I'm like, it just hasn't really become clear to me yet. So I think I'm excited to just live the question a bit more. I'm excited to just keep momming it out. Like it's just the greatest joy of my life. It gets better and better. It's teaching me so much about myself, about my marriage, about how to be present, you know? So I'm excited for more of that. And I'm excited for this book to do its thing. Yeah. You know, I think we've done, to a certain extent, all that we can do. You know, we'll continue to talk about it and all the things. But at a certain point, your baby's got to do its thing, you know? So I'm just excited to see, like, the cool, surprising things she wants to do in the world.
And I love how you respect it as its own energy as well.
Oh, yeah. Just like the podcast, you know, like she's her own vibe and we're just serving her.
Did you always feel that way?
Very early on,
really?
Mm-hmm. Wow. We did the astrology of the pod early on. And we were like, cool. She's a triple Virgo. Wow. She's not like, she's different. We're Virgo. We have Virgo in our chart, but we were like, whoa. Yeah.
Wow. That's really cool. I felt that way. I just opened the space that I told you about. And I felt that way with the space, but I've never felt that way about like my app. It didn't feel
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. It felt very much a part of me. And then the space was more of like, a thing. Like
I love that.
In and of its own. I was so interested as you were referring to the pod as her and the book as her. I feel like that's so cool. That respect, knowing it has its own energy fields.
And it also allows you to just like detach from needing to control. Yeah. Because you've done all that you can do. Yeah. And then it also allows you to like move on to the next thing that wants to be created while the thing is still out there living and you're tending to it, but you might need to free up some energy to create something new.
Totally. That's so beautiful. I feel that. Thank you.
I
Thank
love
you
you.
so much for
great.
coming and for chatting
You're
and for sharing all
welcome.
your wisdom. I'm so excited for you, the book, everything
Thank you.
that's going to come in this next chapter.
Appreciate you. You're the
Thank
best.
you. Where could everyone find you? And
You
the
can
book?
find me on Instagram at Lindsey Simcik, and you can find the book anywhere books are sold, online or in stores, Target, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, the like, Amazon. We have an audiobook that I love. I think the audiobook is such a fun time. We have bonus content on there, so definitely download the audiobook if nothing else. And you can follow Almost RD Podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts, on Instagram and TikTok.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys so much for joining in and listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode and conversation as much as I did. It was such a pleasure sitting down with Lindsey, connecting with her on this level and beyond, on and off camera. It was just really so nice. So I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you feel guided to share it, please do with someone that you think can just benefit from listening in. But I thank you so much for being here and for being part of the conversation. And I can't wait to see you next time. Sat Nam.